I mean, just looking at it, bro, we gotta get at least 10,000. Why does that guy do this? I think I got it up my nose. Why does he do that? So, no one wanted to tell me about this until the very last week of March? But A24 made their own March Madness bracket with 32 of their most acclaimed movies. I'm not sure exactly who made this list. And for some reason, I can't find the blank one anywhere, so I just stole someone's completed one, whited it out, and made a few adjustments. I'm gonna put it on the screen for a couple seconds in case you wanna play along. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly who made this list, but there are a few that I was very surprised were not on their best 32 movies of all time. They've put it into 4 sections with deep horror, high anxiety, emotional drama, and big feelings, which honestly I feel like every single movie they make would fall under these 4 categories. But yeah, today I'm gonna fill it out and just see not really what's best. I'm gonna kind of go off my personal favorites, but there's a few on here where there's just a clear winner. So yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Let me know your favorite A24 movie in the comments below, and I'm probably gonna make a few people mad with some of my picks, but we'll see. So first, in the deep horror section, we have Talk to Me, a recent horror movie that I actually really enjoyed, and then The Witch, Robert Eggers' first film. I do respect Talk to Me. I mean, there's not a lot of good horror movies these days, especially ones that actually make me feel uncomfortable. It's very few and far between, so I will give it that, but I'm gonna have to give it to The Witch. It just looks better, I had a better time, the pacing was definitely better, and for being Robert Eggers' first film, he did a very good job. So yeah, in round 1, we got The Witch. Next, this is an easy one. I know I haven't seen Heretic, but there is no way it is better than The Lighthouse. Maybe that's being unfair. March Madness is unfair. For all you basketball fans out there, you know. I mean, it's The Lighthouse. Come on. If you want to see my full thoughts on that movie, link in description for my review of it from about, I think it was like 8 months ago. But yeah, even if I saw Heretic, there's no way. All right, next, this is where I made an adjustment. We got Midsommar, and I think it was going against The Lamb, and I've never heard of that. So instead of The Lamb, I put The Killing of a Sacred Deer, which I just couldn't believe was not on this list. And both the titles have an animal, so I don't know, I thought it worked. But The Killing of a Sacred Deer is a deep horror movie. Like, that movie is up. I don't know if you guys have heard my thoughts on Midsommar before, but I'm not the biggest fan of it. It's good. I know why people like it, but for me, it just fell pretty flat. Would Midsommar beat a couple others on this list? Maybe, but I don't know. I'm gonna have to give it to The Killing of a Sacred Deer. I know it's not on the list, but for me, I felt like it should have been. I mean, just the cast alone, Colin Farrell, Barry Keoghan, and Nicole Kidman, just put them in a room together and just turn the intensity all the way up. I cannot believe they didn't put it on this list. Now, this is where we're gonna get our first heartbreak. If you know about March Madness, I'm watching it right now. I'm trying to follow. I have like 10 different brackets. There's a lot of heartbreak. And there was no reason to put Hereditary up next to Pearl. Now, I absolutely love Pearl. I think it's one of the more unique horror movies that I've ever seen. Not saying that makes it a lot better, it's just I haven't really seen that many movies like it. And as much as I love Pearl, as much as I love Mia Goth's performance in there, Hereditary to me, I know I'm beating a dead horse, it is one of the best horror movies I've seen in the last 7 to 8 years. It's a close one. I'm not just easily giving this over to Hereditary, but it is the better film and I like it a lot more. All right, now let's switch over to the emotional drama section. The first movie, First Reformed, haven't heard of it. So I threw Minari on there instead with Steven Yeun, which again, I cannot believe that's not on the list. I didn't realize how many movies A24 has and how many good ones at that, but there's a couple on here where I'm like, come on, like Minari, it's almost a 5. If we're ranking the top 20 A24 movies, I think Minari is definitely in there. Oh yeah, I didn't even talk about what it's going against, The Brutalist. I have not seen The Brutalist, and I know I'm being unfair when I say this, but I don't need to, if that makes sense. I don't need to see it to know that I wouldn't like it as much as Minari. Maybe I'm wrong. You guys can let me know in the comments. And yes, there's a little bit of a sour taste in my mouth because Adrian Brody's annoying 6-minute speech at the Oscars. But there's no movie that needs to be 3.5 hours. I'm sorry, there just isn't. 3 hours, sure. You know, Babylon, Magnolia, just to name a few. There are movies that I like. that are 3 hours long that are really good. But a 3.5 hour movie about architecture, I know it's not exactly what it's about, but kinda. It's going to Minari solely off the fact that it should be on this list and it should get some credit. Alright, next, a very easy one. I just talked about this movie at length in my last video. What was it called? What makes a good sports movie? But The Iron Claw versus the Whale. I'm gonna talk about The Iron Claw a little more later in this video, but this one's, again, not even close. The Whale was alright, you know, it wasn't a bad movie, but especially the whole Oscar campaign after, like, I've had enough of this movie the second it dropped. Next, I hate to put After Sun out in the very first round, but you're going against Moonlight. I don't have that many movies that are 5 out of 5 stars on my letterbox. Link in description if you want to follow me on there. But from the second you finish Moonlight, you just know. That's one of the best movies you've seen in a while. To this day, I think I've only seen it once, but it has stuck with me for the years following. Easy win to Moonlight. I mean, that has an argument to be the best A24 movie. Alright, next, there was only so many adjustments I could make. I know, I haven't seen The Lobster, and I haven't seen Sing Sing, but I have multiple trusted friends that have seen both, and both of them said, give it to The Lobster. And before you say, James, you gotta watch all the movies on this list, how are you gonna make an opinion if you haven't seen the movie? Well, if you know March Madness, stuff just happens, stuff's unfair, a lot of things are decided by a coin flip practically. And without spoiling it, neither of these movies were gonna make it that far in the bracket anyway. But yeah, I trust my friends, both of them said The Lobster, and I've heard about it, it does sound very cool, I will watch it at some point, but this is just how March goes. Life's unfair, March Madness is unfair. Alright, now let's move down to big feelings. First, we got a big matchup with Lady Bird and mid-90s. And as much as I love both, I think this is a personal preference thing. I mean, mid-90s, even though I wasn't alive in the 90s, it does speak more to my childhood, and, you know, I connected with a lot more, for obvious reasons. But the soundtrack, the casting, just the sheer vibes of this movie, Jonah Hill did a fantastic job in his debut. So yeah, off personal preference alone, I'm giving it mid-90s. I'm not saying it's better than Lady Bird. Personal preference, I like it more. Alright, next, I can't tell how controversial this is gonna be. This could be a controversial take, or everyone could agree with me, but the Florida Project versus Everything Everywhere All at Once, I'm giving it to Florida Project. I know how much of a feat and just, you know, achievement that Everything Everywhere All at Once is, and especially as someone who appreciates good editing and VFX, you know, they really went all out with this movie, and it is a very impressive movie. And I've seen it twice. Once when it first came out, and I was absolutely shocked. I was like, this is the best movie of the year. This is an easy 10 out of 10 movie. But recently, like a week before I saw this bracket, I rewatched it with my friend who hadn't seen it. And I don't know if I was misremembering, but it just did not hit. I don't know what it was. When I first watched it, maybe it was just the hype around it, watching it with a group of people. It was something we had never really seen before. But once the allure and the magic is kind of taken away and you can watch it from a new perspective and take a step back and really look at it, it's pretty overrated. I don't know if that's a hot take, but it's pretty overrated. So for me, that's an easy win. Maybe that's controversial. I'm giving it to Florida Project over Everything Everywhere All at Once. All right, next is 2 movies that I have not seen. Okay, maybe I haven't seen like 6 or 7 movies on this list. I'm sorry, again, it's unfair, but I called in the same 2 friends that have seen both. Maybe they should be doing this instead of me. But they said 20th Century Woman. I trust them. Okay, last one. This isn't an easy one to do, but it's easy to me. It's I Saw the TV Glow versus Past Lives. Both beautiful movies, both emotional, both very impactful and just intense experiences for very different reasons. But I've never felt the way I've felt after watching I Saw the TV Glow. And again, I haven't seen a movie like I Saw the TV Glow. When it comes to the themes, how they did it and what they were trying to say and just the visuals of it all, it's something I've never seen before, and it evoked a feeling that I've never had before. I'm honestly really surprised this isn't big feelings instead of deep horror. You know, it is a horror movie, even though it doesn't really look like one, but the way it makes you feel, I mean, I watched this probably about 2 months ago, and I wanted to talk about it on here, but it's almost just too intense. Like, I'm not going to be able to revisit this movie and fully unpack what happened for probably like another year. And also just the visuals, the movie itself, it was just amazing. I do think it's better than Past Lives, but when it comes to why I'm picking it, I just had a way different experience. All right, next we got, I think, the first ever A24 movie with Spring Breakers and Good Time by the Safdie brothers. I get why Spring Breakers is on here. You know, it started A24. It is the first movie that they picked up, and it is a cult classic. Back when I was, what, 12 when it came out, you know, it was a big deal. I don't know if the cult classic of it all really makes it deserving of this list. When it comes to some movies that they left off the list, there is no reason Spring Breakers should be on here instead of them. And I get it, they're trying to get a good mix, but you know, it's hard not to look at this as the best of the best. So with all that being said, this is an easy win to Good Time. Alright, so next, and we're in the high anxiety section, I don't know if I said that, but Ex Machina versus Civil War. I put Beau's Afraid in place of Civil War because I just did not like that movie. I was just talking about it with a couple of my friends the other day. Just was really boring for such an interesting, like there's a lot of meat there. And with what they did with it, with the most unlikable main character, with barely touching on some topics that you would think would be brought, and I don't even know why I'm talking about it that much. Instead I put Beau's Afraid because I think that's way better, especially in the high anxiety category. And for me, that easily beats Ex Machina. I'm gonna talk about Beau's Afraid a little more as we get deeper into this list, or I mean into this bracket, but Beau's Afraid to me is one of the most misrepresented, misunderstood, and just flat out underrated A24 films that there are. You know what? If you want the full A24 bracket the way that they intended, the one that they made and that everyone's sharing around, here it is. Maybe it's unfair of me to make alterations, but you know, it's my video. I can do what I want. All right, next we got Baby Girl. Why the hell is that on this list? I'm not sure. Versus Uncut Gems. It's Uncut Gems. And lastly, in the high anxiety division of this bracket, we got two other movies that I have not seen. Again, I know they're both on my watch list. I know. We got Red Rocket versus Climax. And I'm sure you could already assume I called in the troops. They gave it to Climax. All right, so that was the first round. I guess let's go back to deep horror. So we got Robert Eggers versus Robert Eggers with The Witch and The Lighthouse. It's easy, it's The Lighthouse. And then we have The Killing of a Sacred Deer versus Hereditary. I think this one's also pretty easy. I don't know if I'm missing some A24 horror movies, but this section's a little weak, I'm not gonna lie. Hereditary would be winning in this situation. I think Pearl should have won against Midsommar, but I didn't make the list. But this is an easy win to Hereditary. I just feel like, I don't know, the horror section feels a little weak. Next, over to the emotional drama, we got Minari versus The Iron Claw. The Iron Claw, it's easy for me. It's, again, I'm going to talk about it when we get to that point without spoiling it. But I just watched this movie again for the 5th time, and it hits every single time. Then we got The Lobster versus Moonlight. Sorry to The Lobster, again, I haven't seen it, but this is easy, Moonlight. Over to Big Feelings, we got Mid-90s versus The Florida Project, both very vibe-heavy movies, aesthetic-heavy movies. Nothing wrong with either of them, but the vibes are the only thing there, really, for Mid-90s, whereas Florida Project, there's more of a conversation, there's deeper messages and themes going on. In The Florida Project, for me at least, it really made me think. There was this whole debate I was having in my head afterwards, and that's what movies should do. Not all the time, but you know. So this one's easy for me, it's going to The Florida Project. We got 20th Century Women versus I Saw the TV Glow. It's not just because I haven't seen 20th Century Women, but I Saw the TV Glow is one of the best movies on this list and one of the best movies of last year. Hands down, I Saw the TV Glow. Then we got Climax and Uncut Gems. Another case, I haven't seen Climax, I'm sorry. Personal favorite, Uncut Gems talks about basketball. Adam Sandler's a personal favorite actor of mine. You know, it's easy. It's an easy one for me. So yeah, Uncut Gems wins. Then we got Beau's Afraid versus Good Time. This is the part of the bracket where I thought there was going to be some, you know, hot takes and people weren't going to agree. I'm giving it to Beau's Afraid. I'm going to talk about it more in a second, but I just love that movie. I know a lot of people don't, but I love Beau's Afraid. I'm going to have it winning over Good Time. Alright, so the final 8, we got The Lighthouse versus Hereditary, Uncut Gems versus Beau's Afraid, The Iron Claw versus Moonlight, not excited for that matchup, then The Florida Project, and I Saw the TV Glow. So let's start with The Lighthouse and Hereditary, both horror but very different movies in their own right. While I do think Hereditary is scarier and a better horror movie specifically, The Lighthouse is just leagues above as a movie in general. It is a way better movie. I'm giving it to The Lighthouse. That's another case of, even though it's been out for 6 or 7 years now, I just watched it recently. and it's one of the best movies I've seen in the last 6 to 7 years. So yeah, gotta give it to The Lighthouse, going to the final four. Then we got Uncut Gems and Beau's Afraid. I know people like Uncut Gems, but I don't think it's crazy to say this is an easy Beau's Afraid for me. You know, I don't think there's anything Uncut Gems could have done to go farther in this list or beat out Beau's Afraid. I just think Beau's Afraid tackles so much more, does so much more, and it's just so much more, you know. It's an epic, it's an odyssey, whereas Uncut Gems is just, you know, a really good movie. Next, we got The Florida Project, and I saw the TV Glow. I hate to do this. I hate to do this to The Florida Project because I love that movie. I think it's still Sean Baker's best, but I feel like even he would agree I Saw the TV Glow is better. It's just such a unique movie. I can't say enough about it, and I also can't say anything about it because I still cannot wrap my head around it. So for me, not easily, I'm going to put I Saw the TV Glow in the final four. Now here's where we get to the matchup of the bracket. So Moonlight is probably the best movie on this list from a technical aspect, from a writing aspect, and just an overall aspect. Moonlight is probably the best movie on this list. Do I fully agree with that? You know, I'm looking at it objectively. It is objectively the best movie on this list. I don't fully agree with that. The Iron Claw, to me, recently, after my 5th watch, it's only been out for like 2 years. I've seen it 5 times now. On my 5th watch, not only did I like it more, it hit harder. I had a better time watching it, a more emotional time watching it. I know it's gonna sound crazy. I think it's my 2nd favorite movie of all time. Of course, there's the wrestling aspect. I grew up watching WWE. There's a personal connection there. And obviously, as a guy, it's very easy to connect with a movie that's about a guy and the relationship with his father, toxic masculinity. You know, it's very easy for me to make that connection. So maybe there's a lot of personal bias here. I mean, obviously, I am picking my favorite movies on this list, but when it comes to Iron Claw in general, of course, I'm biased. Well, my camera randomly turned off in the middle of that spiel, and I think that was the universe telling me to not yap so much. So I'm giving it to the Iron Claw. I'm sorry, I know that's probably a controversial take. The Iron Claw, for me, one of my favorite movies of all time. Yeah, I knew this was gonna happen. My goal with this video was to keep it short, sweet, contained, concise, and even the camera was telling me, you gotta stop yapping. But we're almost to the end. We got the final four with The Lighthouse versus Beau's Afraid, both horror movies. Then I Saw the TV Glow and Iron Claw. And if you know me, if you've been watching this channel for a little bit now, love ya. You know that it makes sense that 3 out of the top 4 would be horror movies. Horror is my favorite genre of all time. I will always have a personal bias and love for it. But we are going to get controversial for one of them, so I'm going to start with the Iron Claw and I Saw the TV Glow. I've already talked about both of these at length in this video, and I'm trying to make it quick. I'm giving it to the Iron Claw. God, I'm getting sad just thinking about it. It's breaking my heart just thinking about it. Now, this one's hard. They're very, very different movies, The Lighthouse and Beau's Afraid. The only thing that is similar about them is that they're both horror movies and they're both A24. The cinematography of The Lighthouse is better. The acting is even a little better. But again, with what can be provided, I have seen other movies like The Lighthouse. You know, in my video, I compared it to The Master by PTA. I compared it a little bit to The Shining, which is my favorite movie of all time. You know, and it's okay to be similar to another movie. You know, I'm not knocking it for that aspect, but Beau's Afraid is something that I've never seen. It helped me a lot with some personal issues. You know, it's something that has sticked with me, even though it's a 3-hour epic that goes in all these different directions. I've watched it twice now, and it's been an amazing watch each time. Yeah, I'm giving it to Beau's Afraid. I know, I love The Lighthouse, and there are a lot of aspects of The Lighthouse that I think are better than Beau's Afraid, but Beau's Afraid just gives you so much more. You know, if you only had a certain amount of movies, you know, you can watch Beau's Afraid 10 times and get a different experience, a different takeaway, and yeah, every single time you would get something new. So for the championship, we couldn't have 2 more different, yet not that different movies with Beau's Afraid and the Iron Claw. This is where I feel they're the most evenly matched because they're both very unique, they're both very emotional, they're very impactful, they're very epic. I have personal connections and ties with each of them for similar and different reasons. So when it comes to the matchup, they are evenly matched, not saying they're that similar, but there's nothing that one movie against the other, beats out or provides that the other doesn't. So I have to go completely off personal bias and what I like more, Gun to my head, I have to pick one of these. This is what I'm going with. And for me, the best and my favorite A24 movie of all time. It's not just my favorite. I think this is the best A24 movie of all time. I'm giving it to my boy Zac Efron and the Iron Claw. And yeah, that's my bracket. I know I talked way too much about all these, but there's a lot of movies on here that I haven't been able to talk about that I want to. Whether it's I saw the TV Glow, mid-90s, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, there's a lot of good movies on this list. But it was really fun to do this bracket and just look at the last 10 years of A24 because, it is kind of a meme, like the A24 fan, how those fans treat movies and talk about movies, the kind of cult nature of this company, Sometimes people forget the quality of film that they are putting out. Maybe it's because their style is so replicated and its own thing now. People say, oh, that looks like an A24 movie. A24 almost feels like a genre or a vibe at this point. And that's definitely to their credit, but that also makes this company feel less like a company and more of a aesthetic, just a type of film. But when you take all those things away, how they film it, the type of lighting, the colors, they always use film, to film their movies. When you take all those away and you look at just the company itself and the products that they have produced, I think we forget to realize, or maybe we don't even realize, that they are putting out some of the best work. And at this point, 10, 20 years down the line, we're going to look back. A24 is one of the best film production companies, distribution companies of all time. The Witch, The Lighthouse, The Killing of a Sacred Deer, Hereditary, Pearl, Uncut Gems, Beau is Afraid, Good Time. Movies that I forgot were even A24, like The Florida Project, I Saw the TV Glow, Moonlight, I always forget that that's A24. You got Minari, Iron Claw. In the last 10 years, I think all of these are on the list of top 100 movies of just the last decade. So yeah, again, I'll put my final bracket on the screen right now. I don't know why I keep using my hands. There's nothing here. I'm just in a room by myself talking. But here are my picks. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. Of course, grill me. I know I had some hot takes on here. I wish I could see your guys' finished brackets if you guys do this. This was really fun to do. Well, I guess if you follow me on Instagram, send me a DM. Let me know your bracket. But yeah, see, that's the thing. I can't really find this bracket anywhere. Even the website had a 404 page not found, but I saw a couple other creators talking about this, and I wanted to throw my hat in the ring. March Madness is just my favorite sports time of the year. I absolutely love brackets, and now that I think about it, I want to do some more. It doesn't have to necessarily be March, I guess. But yeah, give me some ideas in the comments of some other brackets I could do. Maybe, best movies from a certain era or certain actor or something. But yeah, for me, this was really fun to do. I don't know if it's going to translate to a good video. I hope you guys like this. And yeah, just let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure to like and subscribe. As always, thank you guys for all the support. Oh yeah, last thing. We just hit 30,000 subscribers. I was going to talk about this in my other video that's going to come out soon. Be on the lookout for that. The Lost Media movie one. So maybe I'll save the emotional spiel for that so this one can be quicker. But yeah, thank you guys just so much for all the support. I honestly can't wrap my head around 30,000 people in general, and then those people listening to me talk. I can't even listen to me talk sometimes. But yeah, without getting too emotional, I'll save that for another time. Thank you guys so much for all the love and support. Just keep letting me know what you guys want to see from me, and I'm always down to do an idea. I'm always down to watch something new. Whatever I can do to provide you guys entertainment, I will do. So I hope this was fun. I hope you guys like this video. I hope you guys like videos like this. Let me know. And yeah, for the A24 March Madness bracket, my winner, the best movie from A24 and one of my favorite movies of all time, The Iron Claw. Make sure to go check out my last video about sports movies. That one was really fun to do as well, and I talk about The Iron Claw more. And yeah, that's my yap session for the day.